Now to the Department of Education's new efforts to overhaul the federal student loan application. The new financial aid form will now be less than 20 questions, and it's expected to take about 10 minutes. That's compared to the current application process, which is more than 100 questions, and who knows how long that could take. Let's bring in our ABC News correspondent, Elizabeth Schulze, who actually got an exclusive look at the new forms. So what more did you learn about the process, and tell us about these forms? What stood out to you?
Well, Kara, and this really is a big deal for millions of high school students and their families who are going through the college application process. Anyone who has used the financial aid form known as FAFSA knows it's cumbersome, it's complicated, and it can take hours to complete. So we were able to get a look at some of the changes that are in place, coming into place for this form. Particularly, the number of questions on it is going to go down. From in some cases, the number of questions is over 100. That will go down to as few as 18 questions, which means it could take a lot less time to fill this out. The design of the form is simplified. Some students will find that it could take 10 minutes to complete the process. Others will take a little bit longer depending on how complicated their financial situation is. The big difference here is that this form will pull data automatically of your household, your family's income from the IRS. So that just takes a lot of the burden on you out when it comes to actually filling out this information. And this is a change that was mandated by law from Congress. The point was to try to say a huge barrier for so many students when it comes to college is obviously the cost. And if more people can find ways to apply, and if that process can be simplified, that can help overcome that barrier at least a little bit, Kira.
So how will this impact low-income families, just in terms of Pell Grant eligibility?
Right. So the Department of Education tells us that more than 600,000 low-income households will now qualify for Pell Grants because of the changes to FAFSA, which includes a simplified process, but also changes in who's eligible here. So that's a pretty significant number when you think about the number of families who could receive grants from the government. And we're talking about Pell Grants. These are actual grants we're talking about, not loans. So this is not money that you actually need to pay back to the federal government. So that is a really significant program that's widely taken advantage of by so many students. This is determined by the size of your family and where you stand when it comes to the federal poverty level, but a pretty significant difference when it comes to some of those low-income households and who could qualify under this aid program, Kira.
So are there downsides here? Or potential downsides?
Right, and there are always trade-offs. When we're talking about money from the federal government, there's always going to be, say, well, does this mean that someone else might not qualify? And what analysts have found is that because of some of the changes to the federal aid rules, there are some higher income households who might not get as much aid from the government. And then some students who actually have siblings in college might not qualify for as much financial aid. So, of course, in any of these instances where there's an overhaul of a federal system where the goal is to simplify, to try to eliminate some of that bureaucracy, there will be trade-offs, and that's what some advocacy groups have pointed to. The other change and the other kind of barrier to this is that it will take some time for some of these changes to go in place, Kira. So if you fill out this new form, it might take time for that information to actually get transmitted to the college you're applying for. You might not know exactly how much aid you qualify for, and that could, of course, affect the decision you're making when you're looking at trying to figure out which college or university to attend.
All right, great job getting access to those forms, and there are going to be a lot of families and students very interested in what you just said. Elizabeth, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.